Please focus. Please focus. Please focus! Hello everyone, this is CORNEA-SAL, and I'm recording very, very late into the night. It's like 3:30 a.m. So it's really late. I'm gonna be whispering. So I guess it's going to be an ASMR kind of video. No, I'm probably gonna start screaming like a bit later, but you know, at least I tried. What can I say? How do you start this? How do you start the conversation? Guys, have you ever... Well, okay, so if you're watching this video, you're probably kind of into music. You could be kind of a nerd, or you could be kind of like a normal person. So, the nerdier you are, the better, because this is going to be playing a big role in how you relate to this. So, you know, like music in itself, like by itself, is very emotional, driven by emotions, coming from emotions. And, you know, sometimes we can use music to process our own emotions, which is awesome, right? But there is a point in which that breaks. So I'm going to be specifically talking about sad music. Have you ever been, I don't know, really fucking sad? I don't know, something terrible just happened to you. You've had a really rough day. The person you like rejected you. The worst you could say is no. Well, she hit you with her car. I don't know your life. I don't know you. Or do I? I'm going to cut that out. I don't know you. I don't know your life. But one thing I do know is that if you're a human, and I hope you are, if you're a human and you lived your life, you've had your experiences, then you've been a little sad at least once. So you could have listened to some sad music. You could listen to Radiohead or fucking Mitski or La Dispute if you're a little, I don't know, a little weirder. The truth is that sad music does help us process negative feelings, because music, you know, like there's been a study done that music in itself actually brings us pleasure, you know, like it activates that part of the brain that indicates pleasure. Popping your head to the rhythm is very pleasurable for humans, like that synchronization is really important when it comes to music. So, you know, that's why the most popular songs are the ones that have like the heartbeat BPM, like, and the ones that are in 4/4, because these are the ones that we can kind of like, you know, like nod our heads to. Okay, so I'm not saying that sad music is the evil here, but you know what is evil? Just listening to sad songs over and over and over and over and over again. So like you're just constantly listening to sad songs, so obviously you're going to live fucking depressed. What the fuck are you saying? Like, I've seen so many people be like, oh my god, I feel so bad, I feel like shit all the time. And you know, like, yeah, of course people go through things, and you can be sad and you can feel like shit, but you don't have to feel like shit all the time. And I don't know, like, I used to be that kind of person who would listen to sad music all the time. And you know, like, the sad music wasn't the root cause of why I felt bad, but it was certainly adding on to it. Because, you know, if you're sad and you're like, oh, I wish I didn't feel like this, but you're constantly listening to lyrics that say, oh my god, I want to fucking kill myself, oh my god, the world fucking sucks, then you're obviously going to feel like shit all the time, because you're feeding your brain with that information. You're like, oh, the world sucks, oh, I want to kill myself. You know, that also translates into like the jokes we make. That's why self-deprecating jokes are good to an extent, because, you know, eventually your brain starts rewiring itself to believe you. So if you're always saying stuff like, oh, I'm so stupid, or I don't know, like all the time, then you're going to end up feeling that way. Or like, that's why when you are sad, well, not when you're sad, when you're depressed, you don't have to constantly be saying that you are depressed. Because of course, again, this is a heavy subject, like that obviously isn't the root cause, but it's adding on to it because you're talking to yourself so badly. So then again, music is a tool that can help us or bring us down, right? Because I don't know, let's think about like a more literal, like the literal sense of a tool, like a chainsaw. It can help you cut through stuff. It can help you if you're a lumberjack. Why not? But you can also cut your own arm off with a chainsaw. So like, that's the point. You can use things to your advantage, right? So I'm gonna use some examples. So personally, I really like talking to people, and I really like going out and stuff like that. I really enjoy it, and having a social life is really important to me. Well, it's important to everyone to a certain point, but I can also be in that, or you can also be in that kind of vibe where you're kind of antisocial and you have to go out, right? So you have to go out no matter what, and you just don't want to. You just feel like shit that day. I personally have a playlist that has like that are like songs to go out to and like to have fun with. And like if actually I just realized this is one of my first videos. You guys don't know anything you guys don't know anything about me, but I constantly listen to metal music, like any subgenre. Recently I've been listening to the grindcore, and it's not a going out music. It's a killing people with a fucking machete vibe, which is not something I'm doing. But you get the idea. So I don't know if you're listening to the same kind of music. That's not a very going out mood. If you have to go out somewhere and you don't feel like it, and you put on some going out music, then you may just immediately feel like it. Or I don't know, you have to study for something, or I don't know, you have to be really concentrated, and you put on some classical music. That helps like crazy. Or what? Are you going to listen to fucking craziest screams in metal when you're going to sleep? No. You're going to listen to sleeping music. Honestly, when I'm nervous, I really like listening to metal because feeling those emotions externalized actually helps me. I don't know, it makes me feel connected in a way to my emotions, and like I'm not alone. And that can also happen with sad music or like angry music. Also, recently I've been thinking, like music is kind of like the soundtrack of your life. I really like the Victorian era, and sometimes I just want to feel like I am I'm an aristocrat. Sometimes I like to think I'm like a nouveau rich in the 1860s. Michael Jackson just isn't bringing me that feeling. And I listen to classical music, and then suddenly I'm like transported to a completely different era. Think about which kind of movie you want to live in. Do you want to live in a sad, depressing movie? Because like the best movies have the biggest changes in music. Like have some dynamic, do something else for a change. If you feel bad and you keep listening to stuff that pushes you down further, then you clearly don't want to get better that bad, because you're still doing stuff and listening to stuff that makes you feel like shit. So what the fuck are you doing? You have to get a grip. And I wish someone would have told me this back then, in that listening to Joji on repeat maybe wasn't the best thing for my mental health. And he's a great musician, don't get me wrong, but like there's a moment. And outside of the musical aspect in itself, If you're feeling really sad or really negative, you're like, okay, so if I'm not listening to sad music, then what the fuck do I do? A piece of my best advice is to actually just go outside. Go outside, since you never do it. Like, clearly you never do it. Get out of your room. There's mold growing everywhere. I've seen it. Okay, no, that's not anything. I know I'm saying that. Go outside and don't change the vibe completely, right? So if you're listening to, think about which kind of music you're listening to, but not the emotion that it brings you, but the actual like genre. So if you're listening to pop music, then you can listen to some a bit more upbeat pop music, or like different lyrics, you know? Like, the lyrics are really important. The vibe is important as well. But, you know, I can listen to a chill song that isn't sad. So work your way up. And personally, I don't really listen to like that kind of like upbeat music, because it kind of annoys me. Like, what the fuck are you so happy for? There's a limit to being happy too. Like, you can't be that happy. You gotta be at least a little bit miserable. That's really bad advice. Just forget about that. I was making a joke. No, yeah. You don't have to listen to stuff with maracas and shit. You just don't have to listen to like depressive, suicidal black metal, you know? And you can still process an emotional state without bringing yourself further down. There's a meme that I found really funny that is on Pinterest, and that actually inspired this video, that said something like, never forget who pushed you further down when you were at your lowest. And it was hilarious, but then I realized how many people actually do that. And like, I grew out of it, right? Because I was like 15. But there's some people that haven't, and maybe that's you. And sometimes you just need someone to tell you to stop being a fucking idiot and just actually leave your bad habits. Maybe you don't have to stop being sad. You can still be sad, but whatever happened, validate your emotions. If you're feeling sad, that has a reason. I'm not saying you should be happy all the time. I'm not happy all the time. You are not going to be happy all the time. You know, like, no one's happy all the time. Only a fucking psychopath could be happy all the time. And that's not what I'm trying to reach either. But you know, you can start by not being miserable all the time. And that would be a change. And you know, since we talked about it, why not? Don't do self-deprecating jokes. Like, I do them too, not gonna lie. But like, if you're doing them all the time to the point where it's annoying people, then, you know, maybe think about what's going on over there. What's going on in your head. And, you know, if you give it a little tweak or two, then tomorrow can be a brighter day. This was CORNEA-SAL, and that was a bit of a rant, honestly. Like, I feel like, did I go off subject? No, I don't think I went off subject. But if I did, then you're just going to have to bear with it. Because, I mean, if you didn't click off, then we're basically best friends now. And, like, I'm just telling you my life and, like, ranting to you. Thank you so much for watching. And I ask if you... think about... imagine... every time you put on music, imagine there's an audience and they're all watching your life and it's a movie. So give them a show. Bye bye.